So this is TheBrothersWISP number 18. I think the last one was 18. I think this was 19.
Okay.
But then I think we missed 17. It doesn't matter. Neither here nor there. We're at the
this is the mom edition.
2014. Yeah, that's the year. And we're in Pittsburgh, which I found out was in Pennsylvania recently. This is just the conclusion. Tom is still sober, completely.
Unbelievably.
I'm Tom Smyth. And oh God, did you go off? And this one, we had bitches, we had asses. And he made it into 3 other people's presentations. I'm fairly certain. Got Mike Hammett all the way from Chicago. JJ Boyd made it all the way from North Carolina. And then you got Justin Wilson, who apparently is still alive, despite all indications of the opposite. And then we have Thomas, who came all the way from Slovakia just to be in this video. He didn't even come to mom, just showed up in this thing.
You're hopping on the plane afterwards.
And then we've got a bunch of new...
Still Murphy, right?
That's late. We can go pretend like you did. Now, we've got a lot of new friends in the room. We've got Wayne back here. We've got... Say your name.
Gabe.
Gabe, that's right. And then we've got Brian, who wears a hoodie and doesn't salsa dance. And then the guy next to him, I can't remember what his name was.
Drew Beveridge.
Drew Beveridge. That's right. That's right.
Beveridge, yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember that one. All right. So I guess it's probably the easiest thing to do is talk about the new hardware that they announced and then give our first impressions, right?
Yeah.
All right. CRSs. They announced a bunch of those.
Or the fiber one, I was super excited to see the new fiber.
12 port?
The 12 port, I think. Did you see?
12
I think it was.
12 port. Yeah, it's 12 port SFP with I think they managed to stick a SFP plus on it too.
Yeah,
so it's like,
and then you got an Ethernet port for management, whatever, which is great for what, like MDU, aggregating all that stuff in, or I guess your high density data center environment, whatever.
Yeah.
Bring that to a 10 gig CCR. And then they talked about the CCR 1072 again. That's not new.
Which is nice. But yeah, actually this time it was improved over the European one because we were just talking about it the last when I think it was you, we were talking at the European one and I said, oh, they had redundant power supplies and you said, were they hot swap equipment? And I went, no. But I reckon they're bitching now because they go, we put in 2 power supplies. So now they actually they saw the TheBrothersWISP thing and they said, you know what,
obviously,
right.
that on the spot.
On the spot, so
Stop the presses.
It's pretty cool, like, and they're actually better than most other power supplies because they were actually removing the power supply with utility power attached, which I thought was ballsy. Actually, right, I would have done it myself. Everyone else kind of puts this big feature, you know, to say unplug the cable first, and this nice little big arc.
I think Giannis said this is like their best working demo unit too. It's kind of chancy. Yeah, they went for it.
but I'm really excited to see the 1072, and I have several deployments immediately to put that in. See it in person just made me even more excited about getting my hands on the product.
I think still no indication of price, right? Or what's it look like?
No, I seen a price. It was funny. The only price I could find on the internet was on Rocknock's website, and I actually cornered Tom. I was like, "Where'd you get your price?" He's like, "Oh, I basically make it up. I'm usually close."
Oh, what did he say? I made up a price for the map, and then they read my site and then made it that price.
So MSRP has on his site, which is completely just apparently made up, is 1,800 with a selling price of somewhere in the neighborhood of about 12, I think. But again, he made it up.
Yeah, I was thinking that it might be like if we extrapolate, you know, if you take a CR, the Calcore router 1036, and if you find out the wholesale price of the 36 core Telera, compare it with the what you call it, the 72 core Telera. The ECC RAM on it, the 16 gigs, I think that's pretty cool. So at least, you know, and they even acknowledged it as a burner from, because obviously people are putting them in higher pressure locations, they're kind of, they need, you know, more resiliency in the RAM, or more robust RAM. So I reckon that could push up the price a bit too. Like, you know, ECC generally is what, 10 times the price? For RAM, you know, compared with like your...
these days you can get DDR3, ECC RAM, buffed and everything. You can get about €200 for 16 gigabytes.
Okay.
2 to 3 times probably what the standard would be.
So, well, I mean, what's the highest price CCR they have now? Like $1,100, right? So you got to figure what other 3, 4 on top of that at least.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, Tom, I think his MSRP is really in the ballpark, around 18, and probably street price for, like he says, 12 or 14. 100 US.
I expect maybe a little more.
Yeah, well, at the mom in New Orleans, when we were drooling over the 1016 CCRs, we were all, oh yeah, these things are gonna be like $4,000, and then they release them and they were like 1,000. So
crazy. Well, what else new? The radome covers.
the radome covers for the MAPs are how it is.
Actually, my question is about the CRS. Can you imagine putting that in a data center? I mean, with the current features,
Right.
Anything else?
Yeah, it feels like a enterprise sort of thing, like a small office.
CRS? Yeah, but
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
With the current features that putting in a data center is just, for me, you don't even have spanning tree yet, you don't have LLDP, which is like an absolute necessity.
Right. I see, like, we do a lot of apartment complexes, like bandwidth out there, and then we aggregate all those into like a 3550 12G. This is like a cheaper option than just that fiber aggregation.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
If you don't need to
Fiber
handle the traffic, just switch it and line right.
That's what I mean for deployments like that. It's great, but putting any of the CRSs in data center.
Oh, like a mission critical environment?
No, but we can make it redundant, etc. But I mean, the feature set so far is. Oh, yes, they're working with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're constantly adding new stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not really, I think Andrew in Australia.
Andrew Collins has done some.
Yeah. So what else did they talk about? They have a media converter they announced.
Yeah, the FTC media converter. It's $39. Should be shipping this month, they said.
Yeah.
I don't quite get the point of it. Like, I know that they're converting, but it's not like an active product.
Well, it's not an active product, but I think the idea is it's an outdoor media converter.
Yeah.
So it's like there's really nothing in the market space that I'm aware of that fits that bill.
And it's not weather sealed, so I think it's meant to be mounted and kind of closed to the water levels. But I don't see why you couldn't just silicone it shut or something like that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how people use it right off in my deployments. I can't find a reason to run out and buy a case of it.
When I'm buying TV Link media converters, they're about $40. So it's just right in the same price range.
But it's outdoor.
Yeah, but it's outdoors. It's hard.
Fiber to home deployments would be
I wonder
first thing
I wonder
want.
whether they have like a CPE type version, one that you can like a map, but one that you can actually monitor the actual fiber and the
Like
light
DDM.
intensity, DDM, losses and stuff like that.
Well, they have the, what's the switch with the SFP?
260?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the 260 GS.
Yeah, so that's, that could be, indoor, but the outdoor thing is.
Does the 260GS have all that DDM monitor and stuff? I haven't really used the 260.
Oh, like you can see like the.
I have a couple
ratings
of
on
them
it.
use them for copper.
I've used one for. Yeah, I've used SFP on one. I never bothered to look at the light levels. It was such a short run.
Actually, the temperature range is amazing. It's minus 40 to plus 70. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I know I have mine like in a steel can, like a big J box. So.
In the presentation, they were saying, they mentioned about fiber at the tower, which I posted everything on Facebook, and then Gino from Puerto Rico said that what he wanted to see in that would be a DC jack or PV pass-through, because you fiber up the tower, but then you still need something else to.
Are you talking about the media converter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, some other way of taking the PV through that through the device.
Well, one thing we were talking about looking at was the net metals. How they don't have a barrel jack, so they've got they got the SFP slot, but you still have to power it through the PV.
Yeah, it was incredible this year. Everyone at Microtech was incredibly open to perhaps outside ideas, product improvements that, I don't know, just humility and.
I was blown away by the transparency. Yeah, these kind of they finally opened the doors a little bit, at least for the roadmap. Talking about because they did a whole presentation from Giannis about the CCR, almost like a roadmap sort of.
Yes.
So the problems they've encountered, how they've mitigated and the problems they're seeing. Well, I don't know about problems, but potential, and potential improvements that they're going to make, and this is what we're going to do.
And a lot of,
which I thought was
and a lot of, you know, not really you should be using it this way, but you know, in order for, this is how we designed it, so we're now telling you this is how we designed it, instead of just you figured out, here's the, just like he is talking about the simple queues. On, you don't do one simple queue, you have to have, what is it, 36?
Depending on the number of
They finally explain why you have to do that for the hash.
I mean, if you're really active in the community, you know, you can get that information. It's always in like bits and pieces.
Yeah, so things like that, they really opened it up.
Yeah, and another thing they said was like how the Q tree right now, they recommend using not just the global, but trying to chop it up into the individual interface queues and stuff. Yeah, but then they were saying all these optimizations they're making on simple queues, they're going to then roll into the Q tree. So I guess temporary fix is do this. I'm just going to.
It's a workaround,
Yeah.
But even like I love the firewall thing because I was asking for a while, just like, can you give an idea of how intense a particular firewall rule was? Now 7, like what our layer 7 rules, Yanis was going on about, you know, how they're the sum of all evil, and I would agree.
Yeah.
They are absolutely, like, it's the quickest way to crash in any type of router.
Router. For
people outside the US, router. Yeah, no, try to teach them how to pronounce stuff. It's not going so well. Don't worry about it.
Bandwidth.
But bandwidth. 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 Sorry, Yanis.
That's like a musical sandwich.
But no, like the slide I really loved was the order in which they're processing, like the
firewall rules, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, you know, and I think number 43 was layer 7. You know, which I mean that's you know, it's really positive.
Yeah, that's more to the point. What Tom's talking about is they said, you know, when a firewall rule, so when it hits the first firewall, how is it actually processed? And I'm not sure how they were doing it before, but they said, you know, it starts with, you know, like source address, and then it'll go to destination, port, or whatever. And it actually gave you the flow. So,
I mean, you can look at the chart and kind of figure it out, but
I think they just must have reordered everything because they said they made so many optimizations, they're getting so much more throughput. So it makes me curious, like what the order was before. But I mean, it's awesome.
I love the way that it was addressed. Basically, stop asking why. You know, when you start putting firewall rules in, why the bandwidth goes down.
Yeah,
it was addressed very subtly but effectively.
Yeah, but I think it's good. You put that information out there, you can make it available, and then you can say things like that. You know, once it is public.
And it was an interesting one. Like they were quite level-headed in their response about, you know, remember the Israeli chip manufacturer bought Telera, and I forget. I think it's Easy something. Sorry, I forget the name of the company. But well, basically, like we were asking that, you know, it was asked in the presentation and then asked separately. And they went, it's not a problem right now. We're keeping an eye on it. That was it. He goes, no panic. We're not panicking. It's all good. Like, so it's, you know, they were quite frank. You know?
It would be interesting if that would be a piece of intellectual property that they could acquire, because they're probably one of the largest users of the tile CPU architecture.
Do you know anybody else that uses tile?
I know that there's a firewall kind of application logging system. I can't remember. It's a US-based company that is using it.
In the sale announcement of Telera to their company, I saw, you know, like they mentioned the companies buying their chips and using them. It's not like a list, but they said, you know, these guys are using them, Microtik's using them, these guys are using them, and then
something else kind of around the Telera thing is, you know, they're dumping so much, obviously R&D, so much time and effort into bringing up the Telera stuff. It makes me wonder, are they going to start like rolling out like a one-core Telera and putting in like the lowest, you know, so like the new.
I was thinking like a map.
Like the new 850, did they just announce that as the PowerPC, right?
Yeah.
It's this dual core. Maybe they'll put out a version that's a 2-core Telera and just replace that.
It's not just Telera. They said they went to Linux kernel developers. They actually went to Telera developers.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
Even
I didn't. That was that they have that much influence over those guys that help is pretty awesome.
Well, I'd say that, like, in fairness to price, like, I don't think there's any other products out there with the layers, or with that many cores that are that price. Like, I mean, often I'd ask, like, you know, like, I think it was you who said sell a quarter of them, but, you know, if you make 4 times the amount on them, or some guy who said, why do you sell it for 4 times the price and sell a quarter of them?
Right.
You're still doing well at that. Now, I'm not saying that we jack up the price on everything, but but if it means that you can actually, you know, increase your R&D, increase your support, then it makes, you know, that kind of way.
I'm in for them though, because whether they sell a few at a high price or quantity at a low price, they don't actually do the manufacturing. That's all outsourced.
And it's largely a world product, so if you manipulate the price too much to the north, it's going to take it off the table for emerging markets.
Also, counterfeiters would probably be more enticed to start trying to.
Yeah, I think if you manipulate, if your margins are too high, you're absolutely going to take it off the table for, you know, for a lot of the world that is actually embracing the technology even more so than us here in the United States.
I checked their website, and they have 72, 16, or 72, 36, 16, and 9-core versions.
So 9-core is small.
I reckon there'll be a 9-core version of the 800. Like, I think that will be, because have you ever noticed that there's always a wireless package with the Teleras? You know, and you kind of hold it, and even if you look at the all packages, there's always a 9-core. There's always so I reckon. No one has said this, by the way, but I might bet, if I was a betting man, right now John Tully's actively closing down lines so that I lose the bet. But basically I reckon there's going to be a Shiku, like the bazooka of wireless and probably based on them course there. That's my bet. You heard it first.
If they have the influence now, you know, working on the kernel development, things like that, you know, maybe we could go to them and say, hey, I want a 4-core.
Right, yeah. I mean,
Make me one.
Like we say, I commit to buying 1 million units of this 4-core processor, and then, I mean, maybe they're done with the MIPS platform. You know, if you could not have to develop for all those other versions anymore, you just quit doing that and just focus on the Pioneer architecture. Man, I bet it would like.
And
Scouring stuff.
and x86.
Kind of the segue into x86. I'm curious about massively multi-core x86 machines. You would think that since most of the development's done in x86, you know, compiling one architecture to the next, once you have it working on your core platform, say Pioneer, going to x86 because you're doing all the coding on x86 to start with. Or one would assume that you just have your compiler tool chain set up for x86 and sort it out.
What's the big complaint about x86? Why is no 64-bit and then driver support?
Driver support.
I guess that's really the.
Actually, my question is, they don't support virtualization at all officially in any platform.
Yeah, like if they have the power virtualized ones for VMware.
Yeah, if they have VMware and even Hyper-V, it's like, I think that would be a really good step for Microsoft. They have some multiple times they don't want to do that.
Well, I think their licensing system, unfortunately, doesn't protect them from, you know, deploying millions of instances. You know, you can download a virtual image, and that's one of the things that, you know, like it's kind of like when I had that conversation, you know, with Harness or lads, you know, I said that, you know, why, you know, do a bit more in virtualization, like for instance having an Amazon instance. Like a lot of the other firewall vendors have instances, you know, ready to go, turnkey, and you pay a license fee to the vendor and obviously Amazon. And you kind of go, if you don't make money on software, you know, easily.
Well, and I think they're changing the licensing model is a way for them to get away from that. You know, hey, it's supported on router boards, it's supported on our boards from now on. And well, I can't remember the wording, but I think it's any current router board you can upgrade. So then that allows them to end of life products. And hey, you have to buy router board, like you say. We make router boards, not software.
Yeah, It's just because like a lot of the other vendors are embracing virtualization, and I can't. And like, look, I use it all the time.
Yeah.
What I do is the trick is for the VMware users is set it up as an x86 64, and then it'll actually set up virtualized. It'll present it instead of an AMD 32 PCN. It'll actually emulate an Intel Pro 1000 chip. So at least, but it's more CPU intensive on the actual host itself. But at least you can get interfaces over a gig on, on
Is that like the E1000?
E1000.
Yeah.
The biggest problem with that is that you are limited to router OS since it doesn't have a driver. It only recognizes L3 NPU, so L2 NPU is also only 50 computer you can run.
So the jumbo frames.
And that's very limited, for example, for us as well.
So Brian was just saying, to kind of tie back into the virtualization thing, is that Hyper-V, these things are problems. When past version 4 doesn't work anymore, that's something they're looking at kind of bringing back. It's good.
That's actually interesting because on the forums they said multiple times, you can find 10 posts from Normans about not supporting and not going to support Hyper-V at all. So that's interesting.
And the dude is not dead.
Oh yeah, that was actually that got a round of applause in fairness.
Well, they're kind of stuck now. You have Winbox version 3 that you have to use with 520 or 620 and above. So where's that leave the dude?
Or users of the dude.
Yeah. Because you have Winbox built into the dude.
I wonder if there'll be a hack, some kind of little hack, like a registry.
And then IPv6 in the dude. Like, we do a lot of monitoring on our network, and that pretty much IPv6 and sort of, I don't know, a little polish here and there. I love the dude.
Just give me 60 for the counter support, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine how many people are out there managing their networks with the dude, and all of a sudden they can't right-click in Winbox.
Is the Winbox a separate executable? Can you hack it? Like, is it just going to the top directly?
I think it is compiled into the thing.
Yeah, it's compiled.
Although every time you connect to a new version, remember it pulls all those new DLLs and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be like hard-coded a specific version. There has to be some kind of...
It depends how they do it, but there is a bunch of programs that can pull resources from compiled executables and exchange resources into compiled executables. So that might be right.
I am excited that it's not dead. Like, because on the forum it's kind of been, Normus is kind of... He's pretty much said what Jonas said today or yesterday, but not in certain terms of absolutely the thread that I've been following for probably 2 years. I never comment on it. I just watch it very closely to see what the progress is. And the dude is an important part of my network management suite.
It's incredibly easy to use compared to any of the other, like if it's in NAGIST. Like, someone goes, why do you use NAGIST? I go, I'm lazy.
I use CAPsMAN for graphing, which, in my opinion, is a substantial learning curve to get in there and make it work the way you want it.
Yeah, particularly with SMP version 3, it should be not simple.
I've been using NetXMS a lot, and that's my personal opinion on the build. I feel like the thing has now missed a lot of opportunity with it.
Or even if they charge $40 for a license, if you get 100 of those, would that pay a developer enough?
Or spin off a different company and just give someone who, like if it was kind of employee to manager or something, were interested in it to do a whole.
They were getting rubbed to open source it for a while, and I think Normus or someone that represents MikroTik at one point did say basically that the dude is a side project for them, something they do in their spare time.
There's a Latvian company that makes Zabbix, that monitoring system. Just contract it out. Say, here's the code, here's the source for the dude.
It's not just that, NetXMS is actually developed in Riga as well.
Is it really?
Wow.
And as I said, I do a lot of NetXMS later, and I actually talked to the developers of NetXMS because we needed some patches, etc. And they actually said they are considering doing MikroTik. slope or some kind of a something.
That would be awesome.
Well, if you're any kind
Yeah,
of
it's the same city.
Yeah.
if you're any kind of company that wants to get your wireless out there in large deployments, you have to have something on the back end to manage it.
Yeah, Christy's area.
Yeah, you have to have automation. You have
And,
to
and
have-
CAPS Manager, I see them integrating CAPS Manager into the dude.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to manage your access points, your CAPS access points from the dude, and that would be awesome.
That's a good segue, but let me say something before it falls out of my head. One thing I noticed this month more than any other time is they didn't really say no to anything. They said, let us know about it, send us an email.
Yes.
So they didn't really say no. They basically said, it's a hierarchy of needs. The more people say they need it, the quicker it's going to get done. Which I thought, that's brilliant. That's exactly what people want to hear.
Yeah.
Is that we are listening to you, we're going to respond. This is how you do it.
So email them everything you ever want them to do.
Everything
Repeatedly.
Yeah, but I actually find it helps actually. You know, it's that's what I do. It's like I'd email them once, and they go, no one ever has ever asked that, and 6 months later, repeat. 6 months later, repeat. And then suddenly it gets traction. So 4 people have asked for this feature.
So what you're saying is say something.
4 emails.
Starting to snowball.
It's starting to snowball. But then Yanis did let me in a secret that he says, we do know that you're resending your emails. Well, I heard this last email. Can you do it?
It's with the openness as well. It's hopefully that continues. I don't know if any of you saw, but like a couple of months ago, Norman's also posted in the forums that they are considering doing something about backtracking as well, having an official backtracking system.
Good.
So hopefully that continues and that should translate into that as well.
Well, they going back to the transparency thing, they're now posting the change logs of the RCs.
Right.
And actually, they said as well on the forums that this was in 6.18, in the release thread for 6.18, that they are changing the way they actually structure their internal processes as well for the change logs to be, which has been a major problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can see stuff just, because like you'd see RC changes that never even got mentioned in the official.
Even like I remember they only used to use RC1. It was always RC1, but they had a date and like I know I kind of threw the tons out of the pram a few times about that, but now at least they do RC6, so you know in running or 20 RC6 or whatever, you know what version of the RC you're running. So it's a help, like
So hopefully that transparency, the change log, having all the exact changes being there, and also if there was a backtracker.
Bug tracker, it would save a lot in support costs for them, and a lot of support costs, like if you're on.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be able to go in there and be like, I'm having this problem, and then go to the bug tracker and see if it's something that I need to pursue with them directly, which would waste more of their time, or see if it's something that's already open and on their plate.
Yeah, if somebody puts in a bug and then you can just
vote on
plus
it.
Yeah, vote. Yeah, you see 100 votes pop up in a couple hours.
Linux distributions do that. You Google, a problem, and a lot of times it pops up, in the bug tracker.
But yeah, I think seriously support this. So yeah, if you hit a bug, you have a suggestion, because this is kind of the first chink in their armor, where they're sort of like, they're trying to love again, right? They've been burned in the past. So you gotta really nurture them, I think, if this works out really well, I think they'll be open to just more of them.
Absolutely, because they do have a relatively tight development team that we never see. It's a brain in a jar, But no, like it's a positive thing, which hopefully we'll see more of it. The B2B stuff I'm kind of excited about, because when you have a lot of B2B peers, you start seeing the convergence thing kind of.
And routes get stale because it's not updating correctly.
He said that was the version 7 enhancement, correct? The convergence times were very, incredibly acceptable. Was it 3 minutes?
1.5 minutes, one table, 2 minutes.
From 3 minutes, 3 minutes was current, and then up to 8 minutes then. And now it's going to go 1.5, and then 2 for every additional table. 2 minutes.
It's beautiful.
And the memory usage was ridiculous.
Yeah, they must do
36
something.
meg.
Yeah.
Like I saw OpenPGPD, I think it's around 76 meg for over table. And it was 256 currently on all root rest.
I think that's right up there. And then they got 60 peers up and only use like 500 meg or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, doing 60 peers on Router OS. Yeah. But
somehow maybe I'll have 850 GX2s, right, in internet exchanges everywhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if you start seeing that pure convergence, that means you can start using these things as route collectors or route servers. You start using them as route servers and kind of an internet exchange, maybe with a few more options and tweaks, a little bit more granular control.
Absolutely.
You could
Well, and I think
to a no-brainer.
you even asked, they're looking to add more features into getting more information out of it.
Yeah, so like counters, like one thing I was asking for was counters on your root filters. So like root filters.
Right, like base of the tree.
Yeah, so like you can see if so you can see if a root is actually a root filter is actually working, or it's a lot of hits. So you kind of go, why aren't all my roots coming across? And then you just see this one thing. Just counting them quickly, okay, I need to have a look at that. Just like even like there was one thing I'd asked for a couple of weeks back, and it was basically, if you're expected to only announce 3 prefixes, so the only way you have inbound, you've got max prefix limit. So we were asking for if you're expected to announce only 5 prefixes to someone, you'd have a max prefix of maybe 10.
You know what I'd like?
If your filters screw up, you can just boom, call the session man yourself.
What I love is an SNMP OID, like that you can pull it, it'll give you the peer, it'll give you how many routes came from him, how many routes you're sending to him, your session establishment time, all this. And then you can just, in whatever monitoring package you have, you just set thresholds.
Yeah, because that's what a lot of the, some of the other carriers to say, oh, don't worry about we set alarms to 75% of your prefix limit. So that we get a note.
Yeah, I want to know that. I don't want to control that. Yeah, so if like my peer session falls and then I see it's only been up for a minute and then it falls, I just look at my graph or I set a threshold. Yeah.
And monitoring is your most important tool.
Absolutely. Otherwise you're like driving a car with a light bulb on.
It was impressive some of the examples that Yanis went through, or kind of pointed at, the 28 steps.
What
was it? Bridging VLAN and VPLS.
Was it the kindly shut up slide?
Yeah.
We're talking about this one last time.
It really was interesting. This is exactly, I'm going to try to answer all the questions I know I'm going to get because I've been doing this long enough. So let's see if I can, let's see how many questions I can not get asked.
With one slide.
Yeah.
But Yanis, he tries to be grumpy, but you just can't resist it. You can't, but like...
I think you have a go.
Yanis, we love you, but you're a grumpy mofo.
No, seriously, he does that so people won't ask him questions. He just looks and says,
his sheer size.
I guess that's true. If he was friendly, he would just not get out of the room.
Yeah, that'd be a concept for him.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So JJ brought up CAPsMAN. Just did a quick demo of that.
Just did a quick demo of that, and that's right up my alley. I see that as being something that could really put them in an interesting position with a little bit more enhancement, like Oldest said, perhaps CAPsMAN 2.0. But it looks like since all of the CAPs do have an active connection back to the CAPs manager, that active control is an option, or could be an option with some effort.
Serious intelligence built in. Where you have a central brain actually controlling all the limbs.
Yeah. So possibly they could do some features that others don't.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, the potential is tremendous. The fact that, and again, somebody asked for this feature, that feature, he said, it's great, so this is an email.
And that's where the bug tracker would help. You go through all the feature requests and I like that.
and that is bugs we request to.
Yeah, like they're what usually Norman said on the forums about backtracker is that their biggest issue with the backtracker is that it would have a lot of false positives and it would scare people off. I think if you implement it right, it could actually be a great tool for feature requests.
Right.
Well, I mean, maybe
like Red Hat have anyone worked for Sowell, I'd agree with you that that's their fear, but I think it's a false fear.
Well, they have enough people in the community that police that.
Well, a good example is Reddit. You go on Reddit and start looking through the MikroTik forums, and you'll get people come on there and say, "Oh, I tried this. I tried to do a full BGP feed with MikroTik, and it was the worst thing I ever experienced." And then you know, most of the time, here comes Andrew, and he says, "Well, basically, you did it wrong, and here's why, and here's how you should be doing it, and then you'll have better results."
That's what I mean. You don't have to police the whole back issue software and just crowdsource everything.
Well, even if you moderated it, like if someone kind of puts through like a well thought out bug track, where it becomes like a known issue, like like a lighthouse saying don't run aground here, that'd be useful. But I do it's kind of like the forums, Jesus.
It can be so toxic at times.
Well, I'm useless, and I usually lose my temper when I'm reading the forum because I'm desperate because there's no other information online, so I'm really scraping the bottom of the information pool, and then you get these guys talking. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the forums are the very last resource. So I think the wiki's improved tremendously. It still needs work. I mean, but that's the nature of a wiki. It's never finished. Yeah. So it's just
documents.
Yeah, that's the way it works.
But the bug track, if I see Mike or Greg or Tom or Justin or any of you lads, writing one, you can kind of say, "Well, Jesus, I better pay attention to that," or there's stuff that I can add in. Have you tried this? Because I did one for Red Hat for Free Radius. I was finding that at the end of a month, when it was rolling the logs, it wouldn't restart the service. I don't know if you've ever come across that. So I was kind of going, look, I tried this, I changed the init script. And a couple of weeks later, someone came back and went, "Oh, I've had the same issue, and here's what I'm trying to do." And then you get the developer coming in, and but it's good. It becomes like a known issue log, and people can go, "Oh, better watch that."
And to that end, Cisco, if you look at any of their iOS revisions, when they've retired them, they will say, "There's this giant major bug, this giant hole we have. This is exactly what it is. This is why I'm recommending you update. These are all the things that were broken."
Yeah.
So it's like, even the biggest. I mean, I think you have to admit that Cisco's probably has the biggest networking footprint, and they say we totally screwed up on all these things, but we fixed them, so go up to this version. So I don't think you can be afraid to say you did something wrong. Everybody knows you did something wrong. Just admit to it and move past.
Yeah, I had to write an embarrassing mail on Monday, so this is my confession for the week, But basically, I shut down. I was upgrading to 6.19. And I kind of shut down all my BGP peers. I was doing it all nicely, and I upgraded, came back up nice. I starting up all my BGP sessions on it. I'm running about 40 peers in that one. Brought it back up. I waited about 15 minutes. I could see all the prefixes that I had learned from each peer, and they all looked right. Around 500,000 routes on my primary, and I was going, okay, this is grand. I'll just now go about shutting down the BGP peer sessions on the second route. But obviously the route selection algorithm hadn't completed, so they weren't actually put into the route. So of course my traffic levels dropped. I was like, ooh, that's going. I was going to send me a mail about that.
Is this something I'm going to have to edit out of the video later?
No, you can do it. Tom Smyth made a mistake. That's not, definitely. But then I was even talking about the guys. So this is one of the great things about Zoom. People interact and ask, and I just said, just wait. If you're upgrading. One of the advantages, you can do it without losing a packet. It's just saying after upgrading your first one, maybe wait an hour before.
Yeah.
Or your second, but it's amazing. And to be honest, I learned that from being on an internet exchange in Ireland, and you just see how guys have been doing it for 10 years, how they manage their so.
It's not necessarily a MikroTik thing. This is how we've done it for years.
It's just a process, It's great, interacting with people. Wireless FP, sorry for talking so much, but wireless FP, I didn't realize it meant fast. What is like shit cool wireless or something? I'm going FP. It stands for
F has to be FAC, and then I don't know what the P stands for.
Yeah, we just got one more thing to add to our decoder ring.
So,
You know, of all the letters and things, but it kicks ass on everywhere I've used it. Like, I've not deployed AC with it yet, but I'm just kicking it on in mode. And Brian Barge's presentation, I did learn something that I had not been doing. I'm going into the hardware queues and shifting that over for the fast path to take. Let's go. That's something that I've not been doing. So it's just little subtle things like that to get that extra performance.
Yeah, the only thing I had against the FP package was if you roll back. So let's say you upgraded on some routers, it didn't work so well. You roll it back from, let's say, the FP to, if you had set it to automatic, then when you actually, if the configuration is incompatible, so you have to reinstall it and set the TDMA period size.
Gotcha.
That was the only thing gotcha, you know, that when you roll it back out of that because that is automatic, which is null, that was an invalid value on the previous one. But when I was rolling forward, definitely.
It was really nice to hear Oldest give the explanation of exactly what Auto is doing. It's I was thinking Auto was just, it selects it at some decision window and then it just stays at that value. But from what I understood him to say, it actually maybe rechecks at some undetermined period. Do you know, Thomas, on that?
From what I understand, Auto actually is just like DFS with no radar detect, so it actually, this might be wrong, but from what I understand, it just checks the startup with the...
Oh no, the MV2 TDMA period.
Oh, you're talking about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, no. I mean, I have a confession as well. Our network is still around 6.7 everywhere, so I haven't tested fastpath yet at all. So.
526.
No, for us it was the new changes in 5.8 with the BBP package being improved, and our whole network is VPL as BBPoE. So I'm just not touching that for the next 10 versions. But yeah, actually, I would like to upgrade for wireless FP.
Well, that's what one of the things that I think Giannis was talking about was the partitions.
Yeah,
Trying to push use the partitions. That's going to help.
I've never used the partitions.
I mean, even with the partitions, if you have to upgrade a big network, you have to upgrade 40 to 50 to 100 devices, right? And then rolling back partitions, they organize manually,
Which, if there was a feature in the Dude to lump all these together and say roll all those back.
Because I can upgrade with one click in your Dude, right? Even 100 devices, but roll that back, that's all of course.
But I didn't hear them say that they're developing it now. They say it's not dead. We'll do that.
Yeah, and they said the priority was CCR improvements.
Honestly, like you mentioned, that thread, the forum thread, they've been saying that the Dude is not dead for the last 4 years. So.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't impressed by them saying the Dude's not dead. I mean, they've been saying that.
That's what I mean. I think they just missed the time frame when they actually could have made it a big thing. Now, when they fix it, and we know it's not going to be now because if they only have 1 or 2 developers, they will have to completely remake it.
And perhaps the individual that put in the majority of the effort maybe isn't present anymore. So.
But there's been many conspiracy theories on the forums. They lost the source code, that's why they want to open it. Yeah, the guy that was coding it was just one guy, it was his project, they want to code it. There's many conspiracy theories.
Yeah, it's I like that conspiracy theory. I just want an enhancement in that arena. It's just it could be such a powerful tool for everybody using microtech.
They're not the only ones screwing it up. Everybody else
I think it would be, if they updated the Dude, it would be so monumental. It would be one of those things that they would announce in the first morning presentation at like a mom. Like at the European mom, people would cheer for that.
I mean, like you said, because currently if you really want a good solid monitoring solution, you either have to use Nagios or Cacti or Zabbix or Xenos, and that's all difficult stuff, right? And the dude had that advantage of being really simple, of being completely graphic, of being one-click add device, etc. And I don't want to sound like a sales pitch, but NetXMS has that now, and it's working, and it's currently being developed. And it's not that hard to set up, and once you have it set up, it actually works. So, I mean, I don't know, MikroTik obviously has their priorities.
Well, one of the suggestions I was making was you keep the do free, fair enough, but have an enterprise version. You know, have an Oracle data warehouse driver where someone says, I want this architect to a proper data warehouse system. You know, I need to have regulatory compliance or contractual applications, and my clients need to be able to see all this data. I was saying, you know, charge someone $3,000 for the OWC driver for, you know, warehouse and all that data. And maybe they didn't want to open up how their DBs, you know, the whole structure of their database. Maybe that would give a fair bit of the game away.
In the
dude, you know.
I mean, that's just SQLite. You can go into the data file and just.
Well, that's on 4 and on 3. On 3.
On 3, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a flat file. It's just
Can I ask?
big fat flat file.
Can I ask one quick question? Okay, it won't be just one quick question.
Yeah. Fair enough.
No, but like one of the things is, which is the last Router board or Router OS version that ran a version of the dude that was reasonably stable? You know, where I have a problem where, you know, you have a client and an outpost.
I have 3.6 running on x86 615. So stable. I use it every day.
All right, it actually works on 615.
Yeah. Now I had problems with 4, but I don't think it had anything to do with the version that I was running it on. The problems that I had were database corruptions. I had gaps in data, and so I just rolled back to 3.6, and that's where I'm at now.
So 3.6 on any version of Root OS works okay.
Well, on an x86, that's the one. And I skip versions. Like I'll watch and watch and watch, and then I'll go. You know, I'll just get kind of spunky one, and I'll be like, okay, let's go. And then I'll roll it out on all of our core infrastructure and cross my fingers and adjust configs if there's been big changes and work through the. But most of the time there's no problems. I just hit the go button, and I've had far less problems with MikroTik upgrades than I have with Ubiquity upgrades, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it's just that they retired the support for dudes, you know, being on Root OS. You know, that was
like the dude package.
The dude package, yeah. So like the reason why is, let's say you can monitor people, but you know the way you need to monitor a client's view of a network that you can't route to directly. So
I'm gonna sound a lot like a fanboy about this time, but what we do with NetXMS, since it's completely open source and it's written for Linux, they actually give you the source code and you can compile it for Raspberry Pi or anything else.
Right.
And you can actually run.
People doing that.
Yeah, and then you can actually run an agent on the Raspberry Pi, you know, completely independent of something else and still monitor it from your central server.
So, are they still using an RRD tool for their graphics?
No. And they actually evolved a lot. They now have a unified interface across web, across Linux, Windows, and everything else. They even have an Android client.
Where are they making their money? They do support?
I don't know. It's like they are giving everything away for free. They do a lot of free support on the forums. Of course, they must have
Custom dev.
Custom dev and support contracts and SLAs and this. But that's what I mean. You know, with the dude, if you look at the available currently monitoring solutions and how far they've come and how advanced they are, the dude was great 4 years ago, I suppose.
Right.
But today, if they just patch things, it's still.
So it served its purpose during the time that you think it's...
And perhaps maybe that's what's going on behind the scenes. They look at the landscape and say, it would take so much effort, so much time to bring it up to...
Fair enough.
And perhaps maybe if all these other companies are in Riga, maybe there's more conspiracies.
Well, it's vicious looking.
So did you guys have anything else, like product-wise, you thought was pretty interesting or noteworthy?
Well, I thought the dishes from the guys in Turkey were so interesting, they gave me the display.
Really?
Yeah, been sitting up in the room.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I want you to test them out because
It's It's the model that's like the juuuust with the shroud that goes around.
What room number was that?
7. Group number 7. So it's like the juuuust, and it has a radome, but the mount on the back is very much like the old school Cisco's, where they've got, it almost seems like 2 eye hooks with a turnbuckle in the middle. And you slowly turn that turnbuckle.
This is like 0.3 of a degree per turn.
0.3 of a degree, yeah.
I was really expecting to see somebody with a 3x3, even if it's slant polarization offering. But I guess everybody's putting them in their chambers and saying this is absolute shit.
Yeah, I think that's where it boils down to.
Yeah.
You know, because even like when MISO, their 4x4 is 2.
And I really think circular polarization is an answer to that.
And you're talking about like a triple chain radio going into a single dish.
Yeah.
Yeah. So horizontal, vertical, and something else.
Yeah, some other hocus pocus. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if a lot of the antenna manufacturers start looking into satellite comms, they'll find some solutions there, because in SATCOMs you can't run linear polarization, because when you start looking up in the sky and you have something, let's say perhaps it's a LEO. But when you're working with SATCOMs and LEOs and stuff, when you're tracking that, when it gets down on the horizon, your linear polarization all of a sudden looks like an X instead of a cross. So you have to look at it through different means, with like left-hand circuit, right-hand circuit. So that would introduce a unique problem, but I think you could overcome it in the feed designs. We've actually been playing with a feed design with left-hand circular and both vertical and horizontal, that basically we just bolt onto the back of a ubiquity dish. We have no intention on producing something like this in volume, but just to play with and see if we could get it in the ballpark.
Only one person needs to make it, figure it out. Everyone else is going to copy it in a week.
Yeah. I should just give away the. We're actually printing it on 3D printer and then lining it with copper tape and then putting monopoles in it and then dielectric. So
Sorry, you.
Once you get it working, send it over an IPsec tunnel to somebody in China, and within 6 months they'll be on our show.
Yeah, he's on our team.
Right?
But
The American team? Our team, Team America.
America.
But it's a lot of fun. So this is something that we've been playing with, and we just took inspiration from C-band feeds, like this old school C-band feed. We just shrunk it, and I was like, we could just create a. So we actually, Sam and I downloaded and installed Inventor. I forget, but Inventor. We started with Inventor Fusion, but then just went to Inventor and went and bought a book and started learning how to do basically 3D modeling design.
Right, as you do. Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, when you're bored, you're on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah. You got a cup of coffee.
But when you're doing circuit polarization, like, is there a point in time where it will actually interfere with, like, the vertical and horizontal,
Yeah, but I think you can do phasing, and that's the reason we're playing with a feed, and perhaps Sowell hit the same problems the manufacturers have, and go, oh, so that's why. Yeah, I just can't figure out why we're not seeing any of that. And I think, and the thing is you may introduce some self-interference. However, you're not looking for a tremendous amount of isolation to get advantages of that third chain or fourth chain of MIMO. You're looking at like maybe 6 dB. You're not looking for 30 30 would be fantastic.
So is the idea you shoot horizontal and vertical at the same time, and you stop, and as that's moving, you shoot a circular? So it's like...
No, you just basically blast away all at the same time, but when it arrives on the other side, your receiver is able to hear those 4 independent chains, or 3 independent chains.
Just 2 seconds.
Well, do you guys remember
how we just slowly.
Do you guys remember the old
team effort.
Hyperlink Technologies company? They sold all kinds of junk wireless business. They had circular antennas like 4 or 5 years. So I'm wondering why those.
Why didn't they catch on?
Yeah, why didn't they catch on?
I guess vertical and horizontal were solid and worked better, but now this is almost like a necessity. You have to do something.
Yeah, you have to do something to get that separation, so especially with more massively multiple out becomes more popular. With AC, we're looking at I think this standard can go all the way up to 8 chains.
And I think how that may play more is, we're looking trying to go 3 and maybe 4 using the same idea of that we're all going to the same place. But what most is talking about doing in their, 8 chain stuff is, you got 2 by 2 that's going to this person, and a different 2 by 2 is going to a different person. So no one person is going to get more than, whatever the peak is of a 2 by 2, but you're doing 4 of them at the same time. So
yeah, I see in an indoor environment these 8 by 8 chains, like a room like this, where you could get some of these ridiculous speeds.
Yeah, point to multi-point's easy. Anything more than 2 by 2, it's easy in point to multi-point, but point to point is your problem.
Yeah, and doing left-hand and right-hand circular in a sector antenna, I don't really know how you would go about doing that. You would have to put so much dielectric in there and have so many. Perhaps you could do it with waveguide, if you guys have ever pulled apart like one of the Ubiquity Omnis. They have for the horizontal chain, they have waveguide. So maybe they could put some dielectric in there and do some magic, but you're talking, for 5 gig antenna that used to be this wide, all of a sudden, it's probably going to be like this wide and, this tall.
In that environment, you just add a second antenna for your, to make up your chain.
I didn't understand any of that.
I don't understand how
No, it's like that's awesome. But one thing that annoys me about the AC standard is 160 megahertz channel is perfect. I mean, that's just going to screw up every WISP out there. Like, give them 16 chains.
well,
But just keep it at 20 megahertz, 2040.
Well, and you'll see that
they don't need it anyway.
they won't use it, because when you start running power at that distance, it won't scale. I don't think it will. Not with
all those home users though. It's like, we have a 4 gigabit, access point on our 50 meg Comcast, so you can still be using N in one chain and be fine. They're solving problems that aren't there in the home market.
Some of the more expensive, manufacturers of fine tunes, Alvarian and all that, they use circular polarization for some of their kit as well. Like they were saying.
Oh, you're doing very much right now.
Pardon? No, it was just back in the day,
That's why I wonder, because circular polarization's been around for a while. So was it?
I think it fell out of favor because of cost. Everybody kind of came on the scene, like Ubiquity, launched their antenna line, and that kind of changed the landscape for everybody, because all of a sudden the antennas were, instead of being $1,000 a shot, I can get the same thing, or roughly the same thing for $125.
So the circular is a lot more finicky. Like you have to really have everything locked in really tight or something.
Not exactly. From my experience with it on satellites, and just playing with it in amateur radio, goofing off. Basically you're taking a device or a thing, the dielectric, and sticking it in the feed, and then when you send the RF into that monopole and it arrives to that feed, you're slowing down the wave, so you're changing the phase of it, and that's how you get your circular polarization. So
It's like blowing air onto something.
yeah.
Think of blowing smoke onto something. Now you're changing how that moves.
Or sound or light, like if you were to shine light through something that's slightly opaque, you only get a certain amount of light out. So it would arrive, you have to have perhaps a little more energy for it to arrive at the same power levels. I don't know, I think it's cool.
I remember doing an experiment in college. They used to circular polarized light, and then a lens, and they get these perspex shapes, and then you flex them, and you'd actually see the stress lines appear. It was unreal.
It's all the same theory, whether it's visible light, or RF, it's so funny whenever an RF guy I come from an RF background mostly, and so when I come into this stuff, it's like, oh, I know all this, and I have to learn about it, and I'll figure it out. But then I've recently in the last year or so started looking more at fiber and how it works. Oh, it's the same stuff. It's just moved way on up in the spectrum of frequencies. Yeah.
Electromagnetic radiation, everything.
That guy from Dating that you were saying that you got, you lucky jammy bastard. Well, then again, I couldn't carry them home either.
But I have one.
Oh, you have one. You don't have the second one?
No, so I have to wait for someone in the US to stop the other one.
All right, okay.
You do the ice bucket challenge again. With the face.
Well, I had a Cisco dish. I used the switch and I had the same little turnbuckles and
But like your man had a great presentation just talking about how all the OFDM and the subcarriers, he did it in Dubai 2012. He used to freak me out, he used to pronounce phase fast. That's the only thing I would say. But it was,
I did enjoy his presentation. I mean, he's pretty much spot on with all of his theory from all of the presentation that I caught. And like, if you want to know how EC works and on a more fundamental level, I think his presentation is solid. Yeah, like I enjoyed it.
So speaking of presentations, Tom went right after the announcements.
yeah.
And it was that was yesterday. I think, yeah, yesterday.
Mike was tweeting.
Yeah, yesterday over there. And so you did BGP protection, right?
Yeah.
And denial service mitigation. You went 100 miles an hour, covered a lot of stuff, but good content, a lot of
Bigger routers.
entertaining.
Bigger routers.
Yeah. But that was good. Because you covered so much, obviously you didn't go too in depth on any one thing, but that's great. Because pick up something you've never heard of and then you go and research it. That was phenomenal.
Well, I think a lot of people now are, they know what BGP is. They know, a lot of this stuff. Okay, I've got it running. What do I do now?
Yeah.
How do I help myself?
And then I would think, could someone that's not yet using BGP still use those same principles in the black holes because it's creating a black hole route?
Yeah.
They're not advertising up or they're getting routes back from other people. It's just using the same principles to make a route that goes nowhere.
I think beyond that, just security stuff is interesting. So,
the
more you get aware of
That's
it.
been made interesting. I think talk security is just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But when Tom talks about it, it's interesting.
It's layers. Like the first time I started thinking about security layers, I think Greg said it, and it's like you might not be hyper secure on day one, but you just put another layer of complexity in there that adds some more security, and then you put some of Tom's special sauce on top of that, and perhaps by the time you're done, you're more your vector is smaller, as you like to say.
Yeah, well, I think the main thing I suppose to make for people is that if you are being DDoS, contact your upstream provider.
By the time it gets to you, it's too late.
They're the guys who can help you, and if they can't help you, the guys that help them.
Well, I mean, it's from having been like that middle service provider, I absolutely want to help you to stop DDoSing me as well.
Yeah.
So it's in my best interest to help you in any way I can.
Because it was funny, like we met, it was CCRE, and we had a problem with a customer in the Middle East, and they were being hit, but one of the providers doesn't do black holes, they didn't care. And my friend just goes, well, that's easy, just turn off the peer advertisements, the guy who does do black holes, and let the other guy take a full hit, So maybe that'll convince us. So, Justin, wherever you are, I just thought it was kind of a cool way.
So kind of the segue again, I'm hungry and I want to get it wrapped up.
Yeah,
It's hungry. So, what was everyone's favorite thing at the moment here, including everyone in the room? We'll start with Justin here.
I'd say my favorite thing was the transparency. It makes you excited about, okay, there's a roadmap, they are working on this and that and things like that. So the overall feeling, I guess, of, transparency. I didn't really have, favorite topic here, but the overall mood of it from Microtech was huge to me.
For me, I guess it's and I might take some heat for this, but currently for the CRSs, I don't really see a use for them simply because it doesn't have all the features yet. But the need is the fact that they're constantly releasing new CRSs and that they are pursuing the market and putting research and development into it. I'm really hopeful for the future for the CRSs because obviously currently we deploy MikroTik everywhere for the routers and the wireless, but for the switches we deploy something else because it's just not there yet. So I'm just hoping that just they will put some more research and some more work into it, and they will technically become an awesome product.
For sure. A couple of things. One is I absolutely enjoyed seeing all you idiots again and meeting some new guys. Some guys that I knew, but I didn't know that I knew. One way or the other. But I think my favorite thing here, ignoring what Justin said, the transparency, it really gives you kind of a sort of
warm and fuzzy feeling.
It gives you kind of a feeling of ownership, right? Because we use this stuff so much that we become dependent on it, and this gives us control. Nobody will control. But I think one of the things I really liked was Thomas's presentation, which we didn't talk about, but he used DSCP to affect routing inside your network, and it's just one of those. It's one of those IKEA
Once
moments.
you see the concept, it's like, why have I never even considered it?
You go into IKEA and you open this drawer, and then it has like this magical little slot thing that pops out. You're like, I never knew I needed that. That's brilliant. And it's just so clever. Yeah. And so that was like his presentation. It was just really well done.
Thank you.
Really well done. I was super impressed.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
My favorite part actually was kind of, after the last podcast, I said a few things that I think a lot of people responded to. In a gracious manner, I have to say that I wasn't turfed out in my ear. It's kind of nice. Though I think the guys were pretty cool about they were saying x86 64. Now, in fairness, I did bang that drum fairly hard in the presentation as well, but I'm looking forward to x86 64. No pressure, guys.
So, since Tom brought it up, I wasn't going to say anything, but you brought it up about that. And in my presentation, I even said that we're very passionate people about what we do. And sometimes that passion comes out, unfiltered. And so, exactly. So, not only is this what we do for a living, but we truly love it.
Yeah,
and we truly pour ourselves into it. So, I think you can expect that passion from us, and I think you would want it because we become raving fans.
Absolutely,
As much as we complain about anything with MikroTik.
It's only out of love. It's like I'll never forget as long as I live. Tom explaining MikroTik is like a girlfriend.
The top things is really annoying. You might yell at her, and then you realize, she's so amazing and so idiot.
That'll just stick with me for life.
Room for improvement. It's all good. It's good. It's like 95% of the time, it's amazing and makes you consider a warm, fuzzy feeling. And that 5% is just so fucking infuriating. Sorry, but it's your brothers, And I did theirs right now.
All right, Mike.
Getting, just their whole new attitude, how they presented themselves was a lot different, blood transparency, probably my favorite part, but then the Tom's presentation. That's always well, not just the presentation of the content, but the content as well.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Seeing all you guys, everyone that I've met as a part of the Brothers WISP, and one of the moms and the WISP shows, and just everybody that I get to meet and go see. Like, I truly consider Justin and Greg and Tom and Mike. I mean, and I'll get to know other people, but family. I mean, we talk almost every single day. If you go through our group, Scott.
Probably should.
No, not a good idea. Oh, you shouldn't go through it, but I'm just saying. We literally, Andrew Cox, Andrew Drift, and the rest of us.
They couldn't make it.
Yeah. But it's a family.
Justin, like 2 hours away, didn't show up.
Seriously.
I even offered to go pick him up. So, on the way up.
We would have let a whip around, we would have.
He's probably mad right now because he wants to go, but he
Yeah,
he's like, can we call it?
So that,
Apparently his boss wanted him. boss, you suck.
I'm probably going to edit that one.
We don't get fired.
Truly is a family, and I'm lucky to be a part of it. But my favorite thing from the actual mom, new product wise or announcement wise, transparency, definitely. I don't know, I've been to, this is my 4th or 5th mom, I can't remember now, but 4 or 5 of these I've been to, they've all been U.S. moms. And just the reception of the, I don't want to say criticism, but the openness to accept that there's chinking in the armor, and none of us are perfect, and the products that they produce are amazing. And with adjustment, they'll only be perfect. I mean, because all of us, I think, want to be able to take these products back home and put them into production in any network. Like any opportunity that comes our way, we want to say, here's my Swiss Army knife, I know how to use it. Let me throw out these blades, and I'm going to use it here because it works, and it's going to work awesome. And I don't want to have to go, but, don't touch that. I want that don't touch that. I want it to go, that'll work fine. So that's kind of the biggest thing that I think we have. I was also excited to see the AC stuff. I think it's a step that we have to take to get to the new frontier.
Their products are solid.
Yeah, the net metals are.
I used to say, like, the really.
Yeah, the AC stuff, the net metal. I also talked to Arnis about the idea of perhaps maybe exposing a DC jack on the net metal for us that want to run fiber down the tower. And at first, it was kind of, well, why would you need such a thing? And then I explained it in detail, and I think just the openness and the responsiveness is just incredible.
What's crazy is it obviously really resonated with all of us. Do you think everybody else was as perceptive and picked up on it? Maybe not the first time, obviously.
Right.
Not the first
Well,
time.
people that don't complain as much.
Yeah, I mean, we're very critical, so we notice those things.
It's
But
certainly critical, but opinionated, we notice,
Yeah.
we pay attention, we follow it. So, I don't know, maybe just watching the mom presentations, you won't pick up on that, but, well, I don't know if you've watched this, you probably will, but yeah, there's definitely, I don't know, I wonder, do you guys?
It's my first mom, so
You didn't.
it's, but honestly, I felt like they were very, open and talked about their issues and concerns. And I mean, one of the things I loved is they're actually, they're still developing new things, but they're listening. All the CAPsMAN questions and concerns and new products. And like I said, I think they're really trying to fit the market the way we want it to be. So,
What was your favorite thing that you saw about it?
knowing what products are coming, where they're going, and the deep dive into the CAPsMAN. So I think that's going to be a big product for Micro too.
What are you going to do?
Well, the best thing I've had all week was meeting you guys, partying with you guys, really, and basically having the opportunity to go out and talk to other people and see what they're doing, what is working, and what is not working.
Right. Big sharing of ideas. See, it's huge at this thing. Like we were talking late about freaking access control and stuff. You never know what comes in. Yeah.
Passing the MTCA first try. Not everything. Yeah. That was good. But I came here with a lot of questions today, and this week actually been here since Sunday, and got all of them I think answered. To go back and play with those. CAPsMAN was an interesting concept. I can see deploying that in many ways. AC products are going to be some of the future, so it's always good to see it coming. Be prepared for it when it gets there.
Cool. What do you guys think?
I too was here for the NTCA and was in junior class actually. But this is my first mom, and it was an absolute blast. I mean, trying to absorb all the information from everyone here is my brain's about to explode. I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of information, good information, finding out what everybody's doing. Hanging out with you guys and partying with you guys was a blast. And also, you know, as far as the mum itself, I liked Tom's cameraman's presentation. His presentation was good. We're you know, my company is doing some things, and the security was great. We got the AC stuff was good, but the mum as a whole was just a blast.
Oh yeah, the first one I went to in 2010 or 2009, I don't remember what year, but the first one I went to, I was watching these presentations, I was like, man, what are these guys talking about? and you know, you fast forward now, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna go home and try that. You know, I mean, so it's just the progression of it. You know, you come in green behind the ears and don't know what's going on. I've never even heard the word VGMP in 2009, and I recently got my own ASN and are announcing my own subnets this year. So it doesn't take long.
That's cool. All right, man. So appreciate all you guys in here, except for Drew, because he didn't say that meeting us was one of the highlights.
Sorry, retake. Drew, I did say I was buying the first round. I thought that was going to work.
Well, see, I didn't get
to party last night.
We'll reel it back. Good job. Run it back. So anyway, I guess we've probably run on long enough, and we recorded all this on cell phones.
Two different cell phones.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little pieced together, probably.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but man, overall, a good experience, just like always. For sure. And,
send us ideas.
Yeah, look forward to talking to everybody again soon.